Hi, I'm Chloe, your podcast co-host and co-director of the LaChiara method. Before we start the show, let's play a tiny game. Count how many times you've second-guessed your yes this week, or replayed a conversation in your head 17 times, or found yourself absorbing everyone else's energy like an energy sponge. Yeah, I totally get it. I was there for most of my life. The exciting news, you can rewire that. Not with guilt, not by thinking happy thoughts, not by trying harder, but by doing the kind of work that actually changes how you respond to the chaos. Working with your survival brain, your nervous system, and maybe most importantly, your energy. Yes, your energy, the thing we're all made of. That's the magic of Radically You, our 5-week course designed to help you stop shrinking, stop absorbing, and start living like your energy, your body, and your voice belong, because they do. To join, go to lachiaramethod.com/radically-you. And just for listening to this podcast, you'll get 10% off. Use the coupon code podcast10 at checkout. This is a special episode of the podcast because I loved my conversation with Galit Raiman so much last time that we decided to do a part 2. If you haven't listened to our earlier conversation, definitely check that out in episode 34. For this second conversation, we decided to bring Gabrielli LaChiara into the conversation with us. She's the founder and creator of the LaChiara method and the co-director of the method alongside yours truly. It's a deep and expansive conversation about the soul, what it is, where it comes from, and how it guides us through cycles of death, rebirth, and awakening. Together, we explore the connection between astrology, consciousness, and healing, from karmic soul families to the myth of everything happens for a reason. We unpack the tension between fate and free will, the acceleration of human evolution, and the vital role of community, empathy, and faith in times of global upheaval. It's a potent, heart-opening reminder that we came here for these times, and that our sensitivity, empathy, and awareness are not burdens, but gifts for the collective awakening. If you'd like to watch this conversation or read the full transcript, you're in luck. Just head to lachiaramethod.com/Galit for instant access. You'll just need to register really quickly, and you'll be all set. That link is also in the show notes. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome, Galit and Gabrielli today. I'm so excited to be with both of you for this part 2 of our conversation with you, Galit. So happy to have you here. Thank you.
I'm so happy to be back. Thank you for inviting me, Gabrielli. So happy you joined because this is going to be deep, right?
Yeah. I know.
Yes.
Our text interactions, just getting here, we're like, it was such a yes, let's have this conversation together. It's a profound moment to be speaking.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to dive right in, but I will just say I got off with you first, Galit, after our first interview, and we were like, wait, we didn't talk about the soul, and we didn't talk about all these things, and then I started, really feeling the power that could be here to get both of you on. And I was feeling how the messages you've been bringing in through astrology are just completely matching up with a lot of the transmissions that we've been bringing in through our work with people. And it was just so amazing to feel the layers.
I was thinking to start with the fact that this podcast has been postponed twice. And I was looking at that because, those things usually don't happen to me. And it was kind of my responsibility twice. So I was asking myself, what's going on? And I realized Mercury moved into Scorpio yesterday. We could not have such a deep conversation when Mercury was in Libra. Not that Libra is not a strong, deep sign, but Scorpio reminds us that there are always deeper layers and that we need to dig underneath what we think we know into a much deeper layer. So this conversation about souls and about origin and about patterns and what we carry and how to transform could not have happened to the depth that it can today. And we somehow scheduled this conversation onto a full moon in Aries, which is...
I know. I was just
Right.
literally woke up this morning and I was like, right. And then we're having the conversation on the full moon as, she like lands her beauty in our space. Really profound.
And this is a super full moon in Aries saying, know your identity. And you were sharing, Gabrielli, about all those messages that you were getting lately leading up to this full moon. Know yourself, know thyself deeper. So here we are in this deeper container. And astrology is all about timing. Timing does matter. And so that was the perfect timing to have this conversation.
It's amazing. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And I love having the context of all of that and being like, oh yeah, that makes perfect and total sense. And how to feel into and be with, like, okay, what is this conversation between us? And for me, prepping for it and asking for it has just been a deep knowing of the depth that we can go together, and knowing you two beautiful souls, and how much information comes through you, Galit, and you, Gabrielli, and how they weave and thread in profound ways. So thank you so much for adding the context to it all too, from an astrological perspective. Gabrielli, did you have something you wanted to say?
No, I wanted to do one of those things we do, which is like take the moment and clear any residue of any energy that would block us each from really diving into the know thyself, know each other, know ourselves, and listen for the magic, really, and the miracles that come from connection, and that come from this kind of a willingness and conversation, and from our spirits. And so taking that, just one moment of a pause to cleanse and breathe through any blocks, any habits, any barriers, any runoff of the changes and shifts required that brought us to now. And activate change and generate healing immediately, and sinking into the depths of our beingness and the communion and harmony of this space. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to start with the soul. And it sort of begets this question of, I'm curious from your perspective, Galit, and then maybe we'll hear from you too, Gabrielli, like what does soul mean to you?
So for me, a soul is, it's a big entity. It's very hard for us humans to think about the soul, because the soul is much bigger than just my personality, Galit, right? And so the soul is this big structure. It is some sort of a structure, etheric as it may be, that has one desire, and it is to evolve and experience. That is the soul's desire. The soul creates personalities, individual personalities, if it relates to the earth existence plane. And so those individual personalities give the soul an ability to experience all kinds of experiences on its trajectory of growth. But even the soul itself, the way I see it and feel it, has a flavor, I would say. And that flavor relates to soul origin, which is beyond my capacity to really comprehend, but we do have different soul origins, and they tend to even reincarnate in groups of flavors, of capacities, or of needs, of experience. And so our soul usually gets to get experiences that are related to its origin. In the Jewish Kabbalah, it said that God was a whole, and then the vessel broke, and God's parts have dispersed all over the place. But some parts were from his head, some were from his feet, some were from his tummy, some were from his hands. This is, of course, an allegory and a representation of the origin and maybe the function of those soul groups that came from that one big consciousness. And so in astrology, we can see what kind of a flavor a personality carries within its soul's imprint. Where is it coming from? What kind of other lives and other wisdoms and experiences it is bringing into this life? And what is the purpose why are we here in this life? What is the purpose to be experienced in this lifetime? And many people, including probably us, are finding it hard to shift from what we know, this is where we come from, to the purpose itself. So in a nutshell, that's what I think and feel about souls.
Mm. Beautiful. It's so amazing to hear you speak, because I'm like, I feel like it matches up so much of all the things that I've heard come out of Gabrielle's mouth, just said in like a little bit of a different way. And it's just so incredible to feel the interweaving here. And it's filling me up with so much inspiration and joy to hear and to be with you. And Gabrielle, I'm curious how you want to bounce off of that.
Drinking it all in. I love your language and feeling you as you're speaking, Galit, and I'm feeling the real like spaciousness in your words and the room for interpretation as well as the clarity. And I always think of the soul. When I think of the soul, I feel this incredible presence. And I often say it's like a river. It's like this incredible river, this soul thread. And it looks to me like it's dancing and playing and spiraling along amongst a million lifetimes and this one and maybe the future. And I imagine that this beautiful soul thread in its forming of a body, there's a pulse, that happens in the choice to become a form. I love that. And I think of that having then like all this energy to go with it, our beings, our spirits, the essence of who we are. But soul really speaks to me of essence and of karma, of the seeking, like, what am I here for? I do believe in past lives. It sounds like you do too. And all the multi dimensions in that. And to me, I always find it exciting when I listen to someone and I hear what they're learning and how maybe memories and circumstances and karmic reveals of other lifetimes come forward, knowing that there's probably a million of those. And yet in this body, on this earth, at this time, that soul is here to experience these. And the combination of what earth informs and brings forward, brings back into witness. We call that soul speak because to me, it's the part of like, the body. Every sensation of our body is an interpretation of the soul. And the soul is speaking through every single thing we experience, good, bad, and otherwise. And so a flavor, sensation, experience. I also love the idea and feeling that like, then there's a body here that's bringing information to the soul. You said something about the soul and its groupings. And I always talk about soul families. Like we do come knowing other souls. They're already in a communion, whether we meet them on earth or not. And that experience of coming in and out of form and knowing one another, knowing places, feeling that compatibility and harmony on the soul level. Whew, those are some of the things I say and feel and think. Yeah, but like a timeless, amazing resource and embodiment with so much information and connection to why we're here. For me, the soul is how we make meaning, right? It's like, how do I make meaning out of this life? Like every time we make meaning, whether that's something I learn I never want to do again, or a way in which I understand and harness my values, when I make meaning of a situation, I feel like that's the soul coming alive and speaking and almost vibrating us into why we're here. Purpose being everything we learn. That's what comes up for me today.
It's so in alignment with what I feel. It's so interesting how you bring it from the body / feeling point of view. And I was more of the analytical mind point of view. And it's not a judgment, it's just a perception, how we have different modalities of expression that is more favorable to us. And the chart can show, for example, where your Mercury is, and that's the language that you're going to use in expressing those big concepts that actually have no language. And we somehow have to reduce them into a language and make sense to other people. I'd like to add also that I was, for 15 years, I was a regression therapist, a past life regression therapist in my past. And I've experienced many people going back to other lives, as you pointed out, and they have memories. We do carry memories, whether we know it or not. And most of those memories are unconscious memories. And we do carry identifications. It's sort of a soul vibration or a thumbprint that we can recognize each other, whether we are embodying this body or another body. And many people say, have we met before? They recognize someone. Have we met before? You probably had this feeling yourself through life. And it's very interesting how when we marry people or we couple with people or we have kids or we come to parents, that there is some sort of a lesson or a karma that is related to those two people. And sometimes the karma is great and sometimes it is difficult. It is a big lesson for us, but there is no coincidence why we came with that particular person or why we attracted that person. And in astrology, you can see it pretty vividly through the charts where people connect and why they connected. What is the lesson? What do you need to learn? Why did you come together? It's fascinating. I call it family constellations. You call it soul groups or soul families. Same thing. It's fascinating, in my opinion.
There was a moment in my work where I started to realize that, people come to me in couples work as well, and they would come in and say, we were soulmates. And at some point I finally got it. I'm like, soulmates doesn't necessarily mean that that's easy or good. Like, that can be really complicated. And I see people who are so resonant on the vibrational, almost like chemical levels. They feel so connected, and yet their bodies in present time and earth don't get it, and they don't know each other, and they don't want the same things. And it can be so confusing to have such powerful soul presence relationship and have to manage the earth together and know what that means, and vice versa, to have really powerful, amazing human connections without feeling like you've ever known someone before, and all this complexity of what it means to be on earth and exploring who we are. And every circumstance gives us an opportunity. It's like the silver lining. I've always hated, and I get really feisty about people saying like, this thing happened for a reason, as if every single thing happens for a reason. And I mean, on one level, yes, it happens for a reason. There's a whole bunch of humans here who just do things sometimes. Not everything is like a soul-driven reason, and yet everything has capacity for us to find the silver lining and make meaning and really decide who we are and what we're here for. And those feel a little different to me, versus like I can walk around thinking everything's supposed to happen, the way it happens. So I have lots of interesting thoughts popping in as you were talking.
I totally agree. It triggers me as well that everything happens for a reason. You can justify genocide. It happens for a reason. But can you really do that? No, I do not agree to that. So I do have sometimes a query because I can see a chart. I don't know who the person is, and then I know the person just by knowing their chart. So if I'm reading the algorithm and I know the person, is there free will? And that is the question, is there free will? I think and I believe there is a free will. Of course, we have a box like your DNA. You cannot change your DNA. You were born into this body, and you do have a set of rules that the DNA dictates to you in this lifetime. That's your body. However, what do you do with your body? What kind of food do you consume? How do you take care of your body? This is your free will to either destroy your body or take care of it. The same goes with our personality. Right. We do get some structure to our personality. That is your chart. But what do you do with it? Which level are you going to take it? Are you going to leave it on the lower level, unconscious, saying everything is for a reason? I have no say in that. No, you do have a choice. You need to upgrade your awareness and by that create better choices. So totally with you when people say, yeah.
Oh, I just so love how you're speaking about that. It really resonates with me that you're speaking in those ways. And and Chloe and I have had a lot of these conversations because it's an interesting moment, right? There is an imprint and there's therefore scaffolding and structure and possibility in what we choose to embody in. And then there is a lot of choice. And I do think how we make sense of our lives, there's a lot of freedom in our minds to determine what we do or don't focus on and use and utilize. There's also other people's choices around us. And some people are living in situations where they're being so violently attacked and abused. And there's so many circumstances that would make it hard for a person who's marginalized or under threat to be able to take their knowing, their wisdom to actually look at other parts of who they are or where they could be. Their survival would be too pressing, right? I can say that and I can debunk myself with, then there's people who we have no idea why rise up out of the ashes and do things that are miraculous, driven by their souls too, right? There's so much in there. But yeah, where does free will come in and where does it go? And where is it not?
It's a big question about suffering, I hear you.
It's huge. Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the real answer to suffering is. I wish everybody would just be happy and we're just not going to have suffering. The thing is, it's not possible in this particular structure that we live in. We live in a duality world. And so there is a plus, minus, yin, yang to everything that we do. It's a physical law within that structure. I'm not sure why it's built like that, but it is. And that's the rules of the game. Minimizing suffering is the quest that we're all on and searching for, whether collectively or personally in our life. And we didn't find the answer, obviously, yet. And I'm an optimist. I hope we will. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm not going to stop trying to find the answers. That's for sure. I decided at some point, and in the last couple of years, especially in the United States, I remember looking at Chloe and so directly saying, look, we could annihilate ourselves. I have no idea where this is going, but I know that in my last breath, I'm still going to be showing up for what I believe and have faith in. And I know that if not in this form, it'll have some impact in some other form. I just have such faith at some deep part of my beingness that it's my job to not get lost and to not give up, and that every interaction, every touch, every moment of care, the more people we can bring together. And this really strikes me as something you and I talked about, Galit, for just a few minutes at some point, but how important community is, how important it is to have more of us together wanting the same things, because then somebody can fall apart while someone else holds it. Someone can lose faith while someone else has it. Someone can have that faith that they didn't have before. And so sharing collective consciousness and care and finding a way to do that in ways that are anchored and as safe as possible feels kind of critical to me at this time in the most loving ways. Yeah, it's huge.
I think you gave kind of a really good answer. It's about faith. It's about believing. It's about creating a dream and living your dream. Who are you, right? That is the question. Who do you want to be? Do you want to be that person that is constantly looking at the half cup empty or half cup full? And what do you project out there to yourself, first of all, to the people around you, and then to community? And if you are projecting that, collective North Node right now is in Pisces, telling us that reality can be tweaked by what we believe to be true. And so if we are the creators of our reality, and we all are now mastering manifestation on social media, then what are we mastering? Those that are in a lower consciousness vibration are mastering probably war and splits and polarities, and those on a higher consciousness level are mastering compassion and inclusion and community and a better dream for all of us. And you're right, the more we do it together in groups, the larger the energetic effect will be. So it's on us, on each one of us, to ripple out who we become.
And as teachers, both Chloe and I, who are incredibly sensitive empaths psychic intuitives and who meet those kinds of people all the time, highly sensitive people, the more and more neurodivergent people, the more we wake up, what we realize is there needs to be a place to use those, because we will be the feelers in society. We will feel the pain. And so often what I see that is part of my mission to serve, is how to hold that pain and not go Pollyanna, it's all going to be fine, let's just go over here and pretend, but how to hold that pain and then how to harness our potency and really come through and use those sensitivities as our superpowers and figure out what we can do with these bodies that are so intuitively aware on earth and need to be, and not just get, bowled over by the intensity here, but find a way to be together that can really create change and make room for more of that consciousness. Because I think we need us, awake on this planet. Yeah.
Very true. I actually feel that we're living in such an age that enables us to do it individually in a way that we couldn't have done before, because we didn't have the communication means that we have right now. And so the voices, the voice of the little person out there, no matter where they are, can be heard if they so wish to do so. And the other thing is that there is a growing mass of people who are becoming more aware than ever before. And that's what fills me with optimism, that we can make a change. We can affect that. We all hold that vision. Each and every one of us holds a vision of a better world. And it all depends about how we can do it individually, first of all, and then ripple it out. And I love what you guys are doing, because you're teaching
people
how to embody that, constantly doing that in such a beautiful way. It's enough that one person will anchor a different set of beliefs and being and energetically change to ripple into their family and affect so many people. So
right.
Yeah, kudos to
you. And we're always saying, that a lot of people come to us because they're in pain as empaths, because they're feeling all the negativity. And we're talking about this, I think the other day in our class. We can also feel all the good stuff. So if we can figure out how to calibrate really to other people who are, and if we are changing our consciousness, evolving our consciousness, showing up for it, finding hope, and we can share it, then all of those people who are sensitive and feeling one side of the sensitivities could feel the other, and there is a lot of change that happens in the ethos and the culture and the energetic imprint of how we walk and what that ripples out. We're always impacting others and they're always impacting us. And it becomes the question of how do we want to show up for that? And that's exciting to me too. Yeah.
So when people come to me for a reading, people come to me either at times of a crisis in their life, or when they have a big decision and they want somebody to reflect. I'm kind of a mirror, because I can see the big picture. I can see the archetypes and how they play, and I can see the timing. So when they come, I give them, this is who you are, more or less. That's your program. This is what you got stuck with. Those are the programs that are not working for you. This is your gift. This is your opportunity. This is where you're going. This is what you can be and embody. So they always ask, how? How do I get from here to there? And then, of course, I have to tell them, well, I know these beautiful ladies, Gabrielli and Chloe. You can go there and learn. And it is true, because people need not just a strategy, they need to be taught a language in a way that was not taught in school or childhood, and they just don't know how. So we're missing on the planet kind of the how. I'm an analyst. I'm not a therapist. I can't hold someone's hands and do the process. But a lot of people need the process. It's not enough to hear. You have to be shown how to step, how to move, to cross the river. So.
Yeah. And I love what you do, because it gives us the evidence, that we're saying, we see this. And often people then go back to someone like you and have a reading and they're like, wow, it is also in my chart. And so utilizing each other and working together in this way where we can build the well of evidence that goes along with the knowledge and structure to actually make those changes and to do that together and to learn yourself, which I think we really are just learning how to be who we are at this time in life. It is a really different time on Earth than ever before.
It's true. I just read a book about how it was part of the book about how people are more aware, especially the young generation, of their identity. There was no other time on the planet in history that people were so engaged with who am I and what is my identity? What is this person? And this gives a whole new platform of deeper understanding of who am I and what can I do? What are my choices? How can I upgrade?
Mm-hmm. It's so interesting because I wish I knew if I could cite, I can't cite the article, but I read this article about how babies, we've evolved enough that now babies and young children are coming in with more of their intuitive capacity to read faces and facial expressions. So where like there's more interpretive a possibility in intimacy than there ever was before, which also is why I think all of the online stuff can be hard. But what we need to grow into is like, how do we do that? Because there's an overwhelm in that, but there's also a possibility if we can change our interpretive networking and grow and evolve what's possible and see between the lines and learn more, as we stay as safe bodies on this earth, then we get like all kinds of opportunity to see the new platform that's developing. I don't really think anything we've ever done in the past is going to create the kind of change we want. We have to create something that moves us towards change. And there'll be lots of things out there that people have said and done that work, but it has to come together differently. And I'm like, how are we going to do this? It's going to take some new inspiration and possibilities, right?
Well, I think this was the conversation with Chloe last time, my conversation with Chloe about the age of Aquarius, how we are taking the baby steps and we're seeding the seeds of this new age. And the promise within this age is, first of all, change. That's the name of the Aquarius, is change. Let's change what's not working. Let's rebuild or build new structures, new communities, new ideas about how we go forward. What is consciousness? Who we are? The whole education system, the government system, the health system, we can see them crumbling because they're not serving us anymore. They used to serve us in many ways, but not anymore. So what are we creating? It's on us, on people like us and other people that are. I'm just having this conversation with an integrative doctor, and she's amazing. She went and she did her MD, and then she didn't like just the MD part, and she supplemented her education with supplements and holistic medicine. And now she's offering such a wide platform, a whole new platform of looking at health. People like her are the forefront of what the health profession would look like, tailored, personalized, not one size fits all, and doing things in a different way. The same goes for education system. So I think we are changing. Just it takes time. That's the thing.
Does.
We would like to see it magically transform in one day because it will help us greatly. It just takes time. Yeah.
Right? Oh my goodness. I wish it could just be like, okay, here we go. Just taking a quick pause to remind you of something you probably already know deep down. You're not more lovable, more spiritual, or more good because you can hold it all together for everyone else. Your worth isn't something you prove. It's something you are, simply because you exist. Radically You is our 5-week self-paced online course designed to help you stop outsourcing your worth, stop absorbing everyone's everything, and finally start living like your body, your voice, your energy get to take up space. Because your energy, your truth, your voice, they deserve space. And you, my dear, deserve to be all of your magnificent, authentic self. We start in January, and for the first time ever, we're adding weekly healing circles, live sessions where you'll receive personal healing in real time, share your reflections, ask questions, and feel the collective magic that makes transformation truly click. Because maybe Mercury isn't the problem this time. Maybe you're just ready to be radically you. Join us at lachiaramethod.com/radically-you and get 10% off with the code podcast10 at checkout. We would love to support you in this way. All right, back to the show. I'm as I'm hearing both of you, I'm just loving this. And something that I'm hearing and getting curious about as you're talking about the age of Pisces into Aquarius, and, Gabrielli talking about how do we put all these pieces together differently. And also, I think we've seen that at least in our work, and I'm curious to see, Galit, with you and your work, these moments of major rebirth in people's lives where it's not just like, oh, I'm having a transformative time. It's like a major overhaul, potentially even different, sort of almost like a new lifetime in the same body kind of experience for people where everything rewires in a profound way. And I'm curious to hear your perspective on that. If you're seeing that this age, even moving into the age of Aquarius, is rewiring, or people are evolving at a faster pace, and thus potentially, how we're seeing it is that because of that evolution, we are able to evolve to a next level that maybe people before weren't able to do in one body. But I'm curious for you if you've seen that, what your read is astrologically with that, how you hold that.
I love the question. Thank you. Yeah, I see a lot of rebirth, death and rebirth, because death has to come before the rebirth. And it's not physical death. Usually it is patterns death, and old patterns that need to die in order to allow the person to completely change their perspective. It's always the perspective, and then embody something completely different and fresh. It's a good question why it's happening more pronouncedly now than before. It's not that it didn't happen before. Astrology works by pattern recognition. There are cycles. You're born with a chart. The chart is like your DNA. And then the cycle continues because the planets do keep moving after your birth. And every time the planets are moving in a certain way and they hit something natally in your chart, you would be triggered. However, the older generations, even if they had a really major trigger, we're taught, suck it up and keep moving forward. You're not allowed to become emotional. You can't share with anybody. There was no language for psychology, even, let's say, until the 50s or 60s. Nobody even spoke psychology. There was no pop psychology. There was no Instagram or Facebook. And so people were not aware of what's happening. If something major happened to them, they would just keep on going and hide it, because they wouldn't even be able to make sense within themselves. They didn't have the language or capacity of understanding that. But people now have. And that's what changed the game. People now are much more perceptive. They're much more knowledgeable, and they can understand on deeper layers the dynamics that is playing out in their life. And so they are much more reactive and active, proactive to what is happening. And therefore, we're having an acceleration in consciousness and evolution, and which is a good thing, because we are accelerating on the planet. Our evolution has accelerated, and that's part of the age of Aquarius. And by the way, I don't know if you're watching the AI development, but the AI is accelerating in a speed that is unimaginable. Cycles usually go in a curve, in a bell curve, but we are going to reach singularity, they say, up until 2030 or something like that. And singularity means that there will be no more bell curve. We are going into a spike, and that spike is just going up. This is something the planet have never experienced before, or we humans never experienced before, this kind of development. And that means that the amount of acceleration will exponentially grow to something we've never measured or known before. We don't know how to handle that. Yeah. And so this will touch every part of our life, whether it is technology or consciousness evolution. That's why it's happening.
Yeah. And it also just seems factually true that our demographic, we're living longer, or imagining we can live longer. There's like a life within a life that happens even in the amount of time with science and health that people can stay in their bodies for a lot of us. And I think, my experience, what I was watching is people complete like where a death time, almost like where they could have made that choice, where the body may have been done. And then there's a renegotiation on the soul level of why we're here and what we're now saying, oh, that mission has completed. It's really time for a new mission. It's interesting to me because 22 years ago, I started this work. So this, these versions of this work, bringing energy medicine into healing, doing circles with women, sacred healing circles, shifting from a clinical social work background into a healer's kind of modality. And I feel like in those 22-ish years, I've just seen people getting ready. And I felt like the last, in particular, 15 years of the healing work, maybe kind of pre-COVID really, was watching so many people make the resolution of what they had already learned from their family history. And we didn't know what they were getting ready for, but it felt like a time of prepping and planning and having more resilience for something to come in the future. And now I feel like we're standing at the precipice of what we called the future. And it's like game on. We need to use all that healing work we did. And so many people have done so much healing work. But we need to use it to actually redefine how we operate and to negotiate our own operating systems to see how to not just be living in a fight, flight, freeze mode 100% of the time, and to not be derailed by every single thing that lands on our laps, but to like ask what that looks like to have agency and resilience and vitality to be able to see where we're going. And a lot of us are saying we can't quite see it, but we know it's happening. And I think that is part of this design, right? It's never happened quite like this. Maybe that's always been true.
So true. So true. I love it because this is exactly what astrology, there is natal astrology, which is the person astrology, and there is the collective astrology that we're all affected by. The collective astrology says that 2025 is the bridge year. 2026, we're starting to build those seeds, those imaginary idea, the dream. We're starting to implement the dream. 27, we're taking another step. If we make it to 2028, and hopefully we will, then we'll see how that starts to take roots. All those seeds start to take much deeper roots. So this is true for everyone who's listening and true for us as a society. Things will change by 2028. Things will change for the better, hopefully. So it's up to
us. If we make it through, they're going to change for the better. Let's keep fighting for it, Exactly. And I've been seeing that. I kept seeing the 2026 mark of like, okay, there's momentum. We're starting to like actually root into what's possible, and the doors opening for like, it's been a veil lifting is how I've seen it in these last 5 years in particular. More, but it feels like the veils are ripped off and everything's fair game, and we're living in this heightened society that has both heightened healing that's happening, accelerated, and also heightened suffering that's happening. And it feels to me like when that happens, it's the beginning of a possibility of unsplintering. Like, okay, it's all on the table. We're not pretending. Can't pretend that things are better than we think, or as good as we think, or however we might say that. So yeah, I've been seeing that also and feeling really strong. Like we're getting people ready. We talk about like we're building it out to have the communities and the infrastructure and the people in their resilient, health as much as possible, especially the helpers and the healers. I keep thinking like heal the healers. We need support. We need to be able to be strong enough to do this thing that's coming and not just tank ourselves on giving. So yeah, so much. Thank you.
And I want to define healers. What is healer? Who is healer? What does it mean to be a healer? A healer is somebody that went through their own deep pain and realized something out of it and was able to pull themselves out of this pain and see why this happened and maybe give wisdom and help others. We're all walking each other home. We're all holding hands, right?
And so everyone in a helping capacity, to me, every human has the capacity to be a healer. I don't think that's unusual. I think it's built in ourselves to know how to be here, and being empathic is natural. Like we're born inside bodies and through bodies and with bodies. And, there's all this like profound nature, just like, when you watch, I was like seeing where the pavement is cracked because Earth is just so potent that she like cracks the pavement and the plants are coming up through the edges of the concrete. And I kind of feel like that's who we are. And that some of us have had that pavement cracked in a way that we can see and feel the gifts of our nature coming through. And that's enlivening for me and exciting for me. You can see, I probably feel I just got really excited about that. It's like, wow, there are so many healers on this earth. It's not limited to someone who's in a particular job, or role, or it's not someone else. It's us. It's you. It's who you are listening, the listeners who are here with us.
Yeah. And the fact that you said the veils have been lifted, it's so true. We can see the underworld. It's right here living with us. Hell is right here in our background. Yeah. And so we can pretend that hell does not exist. Hell is here. And if we like to stay in hell, we will. But if not, it's on us to take a stance and say, okay, I'm not buying into that anymore. No, this is not working for me. Let me be a healer. Let me heal myself and take that road. That is the free will.
Yeah. And it's been so obvious in our conversations with people who are coming through our work that it's actually not safe anymore to do it that way we thought was safe, to like harness ourselves down and buckle down and stay small. It's actually not safe anymore. So it's not like that way of being, even though it's terrifying for some people to open to their healing gifts and abilities and to their desire to help in that way. I think people are really renegotiating, as we said before. It's actually not that helpful, and it's not that comfortable to stay under myself and just keep myself small and hidden and therefore really uncomfortable. We're here, and it seems to be that it's a much safer way to go, for all. And not that we can predict safety, but we certainly can show up and ask ourselves, what are we afraid of? And can that fear be served otherwise? Can we show up now? Can we notice?
And back to the question, everything happens for a reason. Remember, we started with that. I want to circle back. There is a reason why we showed up here and now, each and every one of us. We chose this timeline. And there is a lot of potency within this timeline, but there's a lot of harshness. And we can do it. If we're here, we can do it. We chose this. So we're able to do it. The question is how? What is the strategy and the method that each and every one of us needs, and the tools? It's all about learning good tools. If we have good strategy and good tools, we can win this. So we need to learn more tools, and people like both of you are helping with bringing the tools. Those are great tools. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What an incredible conversation. Thank you so much.
I know, it's so powerful to hear and witness and be with. And I'm curious because we're somehow rounding to the end of the conversation, which is just so wild to me. It just goes by so quickly, and it's been such an honor to just listen and feel the ebbs and flows of it all. I heard it woven in a bit throughout. And I'm curious this time when there's so many people losing faith and hope, and it's so devastating and challenging. And yet I'm hearing in both sides, like, Galit, how to actually see and feel like, okay, here are some of the structures, here are what we're actually seeing, here's what's possible. Actually, I felt such a relief when you said, you came here for a reason at this time. And if that is so, you can handle it. Just feeling that, it felt like my whole nervous system sort of relaxed a little bit just to even hear that again and be reminded. Because for me, of course, I also too believe that. And yet to just be reminded over and over again, like, oh, right, we're here. And if we're here, that means somehow we can handle that. And that there are tools and strategies and ways and healers and helpers and communities that can hold it with us. I just wanted to reiterate that and feel that, and feel the calmness that came over me to have that context and to have that reminder. But I'm curious for both of you, just in this time with those people that are really struggling, that are feeling swamped or flooded, or listening to the news and just feeling just the devastation, which I think is important for us to feel. The grief is important for us to feel. And yet, how do we also hold that? And how are you working with the people in your world to hold what we're facing and to continue to hold that greater faith that's here, that there's something else on a bigger scale holding us? And how does that help people, as you've both seen?
Personally, it's not easy for me to hold grief in when I see the wars and the people that are scattered and the grief that people that lost people are going through. I suffer as well, not as much as they do, but it touches my heart as well. We spoke about that. I don't have an answer for this kind of pain. I'm doing my best when I meet people one-on-one or when I teach to instill optimism, to instill the bigger picture, to instill my vision of a better world. And I'm sure you two are doing the same thing. That's kind of the best tool that I have to offer. I wish I had more tools, and I hope that we will develop more concrete tools to help those in terrible places in their life. And there are more and more organizations that I see that are volunteering to help those in need. And we need these people that are the volunteers to uplift those that are greatly suffering. I think we are in the seed stage of developing more tools to do so. And I hope this will just quicken the pace as the rest of the stuff is accelerating. This will accelerate as well. Yeah.
I could dive in and talk about the transformational life coaching and healing work that we do, and the method, and the body work trainings and everything we created for this reason, which I know Chloe knows that, like for the reason to ask how to hold the suffering, how to hold our own personal suffering, how to hold others and suffering. And I'm hearing you, Galit, and I think the piece I would take, that I would say, if I'm answering it in the succinct, simple way, is really like, we matter. We matter. The way I hold you matters. How I show up and listen, whether I can fix it or not. There's we lose our hearts to other people's pain sometimes. And I find often that we get sunk by the listening to someone else sinking, or we get uplifted. But there's something about, we forget, there's something about that goes on in this human experience of how we forget that we came with enough. And that every single human we don't earn our deserving and our worthiness. From my perspective, we have it, and it's almost like we have to remember that the indoctrinations and the suffering will tell us that it's our fault and we're not worthy of feeling this or having this or whatever it might be. But I don't know the simple answer for this moment, and I would probably have a different one every moment. But is as I'm listening and feeling for who's listening to us speak. Is to tell you, all of our listeners, and each and every one of us, we are enough. And just being caring is profound. Letting go of the fix-it identities and trying to make everything better, and just showing up to sit in the puddle of pain for that moment. I can't say how valuable that is in this society. We don't always have the answers, but we always have our hearts, and our own essence to bring to the table.
And I love this, Gabrielli. Thank you so much for sharing this, and especially on the super full moon in Aries that says you got to have courage in this life, and courage sometimes just to sit and listen, and just to open your heart, and just to be present. That's all the courage you really need. You don't need to be a warrior and go fight the war. It's not about that. It's about being. It's about being who you are already. I loved it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Galit, I'm curious, just as we close up, do you want to share anything about your offerings to our listeners?
I didn't think about that, but I just love the conversation. I showed up. For the conversation. It is true what I said because I just love this conversation. And that's why I do what I do, because I love it. I would do it anyhow.
Me
So
too.
when you do something that you really love, people sometimes come to me and say, well, what should I do as a profession if they're young people? And I say, you do something that you really love. Then other people will feel that magnetic resonance, your energy, and they would pay you for it. No worries about the money. It's just about being who you are. Again, back to that point, being who you are. So being who I am an astrologer, master astrologer, because I've been mastering this for the last 45 years. And I just love that language of as above, so below. I can see the relationship of this whole terrain of being, not just me as a being, but me with the planet and the planets with other planets and the universe and God and all those connections. So it talks to me. So if somebody that is listening is interested in astrology, I would love to be your teacher. I am a really good teacher because I just love this. And so you can check it out on my website. I have courses, I have readings, I have communities for beginners astrologers and intermediate astrologers. And so you are invited. I would love to meet you if that's your path.
And Galit, I'll say, I just shout out to you because what I appreciate about what you're doing is you talk about it from an analytic perspective, but you are so soul driven and it's analytical, but your intuition has to be in there and your senses for what you're feeling and what you feel is part of what you do and think and map out and understand and learn and educate yourself in. And so I love your embodiment and that you are really bringing astrology and the spirit of astrology alive and your deep, deep, deep caring self for yourself in this earth and humanity, and just appreciate and adore you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And you both know that I feel the same for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's very complimentary what we do. I do tend to send people to you because I feel that I can give them the analysis, but you can take them further into their journey, which is amazing. Yeah. So we need more collaborations in this.
No, I'm like, I saw the I keep seeing like the healing festival of healing, with those of us who are holding similar things and putting it all together in a weekend event, where we get to show up and people get to experience all of it and map out their astrology and like feel where that goes with their soul and spirit and learn the tools to like navigate. And I don't know, I just got super excited.
Maybe we'll call it your personal journey. Start here, go there, move here, and then
right. We can like really dance them through a whole experience. I love it. This would be really fun. With Chloe's also just happens to be a really amazing DJ, so we can have a big dance party in there, and just do it all.
Why not? Perfect. That sounds amazing to me. Yeah. I love it.
Let's do it.
But I mean, in such the age of Aquarius and coming together in community and healing together in community and the cooperation and finding what it is to be ourselves, but also with other. And I think that's, I'm hearing from both of you and know so deep in my soul too, how important that is. And whether that's Festival of Healing or continuing to have conversations like this with you and others and really building out that web and that network of community and collaboration feels so imperative. And, I'm just reminded I was literally in a circle yesterday with a bunch of healers local here. And I was just like, oh my goodness, we need this. We need each other. We need that cross-pollinating. We need, your soul, Galit, that as Gabrielli was saying, it's like, oh, it just like lights up in this way when you talk about astrology and the soul and everything. And that lights me up and lights Gabrielli up in all these different ways. And I'm just, I know so deep in my bones, all of what you're saying feels so resonant and true and exciting and just keeps me moving forward and knowing we're all here to continue to help people find each other and to wake up the healers and those of us that are stepping into more consciousness. And thank you both so much for this honor of being in this conversation with you. I look forward to more, however it continues to transpire in our lives together.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. And I loved what you said. It's the energy. We exchange energy. And
Mhm.
that's why we love this so much. It lights us up, the energy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we have just to go one last thing to say for those who are suffering, who can't feel this, we can give it. And it's like, it's our responsibility to keep lighting ourselves up, because we need ourselves and people need us. And, when I'm the one who's down, I need it from someone else too. But it's like, if there is that kind of suffering going on, we only need more of this magic to effervesce through our bones and our cells and our bodies and our spirits, and to really help us in the changes that we're aiming at. And so I feel the inspiration too. And thank you so much.
As we always say to our students, please borrow our faith, because we have a lot of it. So borrow our inspiration, borrow our faith, borrow our wisdom and our soul-driven mission feeling, because it does emanate and can wake you up, dear listeners. So thank you again for that reminder.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a really sweet journey. Have fun.
Thank you so much for being a part of the Activate Change community. If you want even more amazing content, head over to lachiaramethod.com. And while you're there, be sure to join our email list so you don't miss a thing. You'll get instant access to our ultimate self-care bundle to clear your energy, boost your vitality, and feed your soul, plus exclusive content, special invites to live events, and personal updates we don't share anywhere else. We're so grateful to be on this journey with you. See you next time. Saying a huge thank you to Ali Halpert, the incredible musician and songwriter behind the songs featured in this podcast. To hear more of Ali's work, visit alihalpert.com. You'll also find the link in our show notes.